Hey Hogs, this is a recording of a couple plays that we had on offensive practice today. I just want to do this so we can get some immediate feedback on kind of some of the things that I see, and try to help you guys out immediately and kind of expand on some things. There's some things that happen today that we haven't quite covered yet, but it's good to start talking about it so we can start addressing it in practice. So here we ran power left. So big picture here, the H back, the H back is banana route kicking out the seven. So remember we need to identify the guy we're kicking out right as we get up to the line of scrimmage. And if there's a tight end on the play side, it's a six or a wider. So the tight end will look, is there a guy head up? Is there a guy outside? And he'll make that call, 7-7. And then the tight end knows he's blocking his gap uh, to doubling to FBI. So this should be a TED call. The tight end will say TED, TED, TED. So the tackle knows that he's doubling with the end. The tackle has a base block trying to throw this guy into his gap. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about is a combination block. So yes, this is a double team where two guys are blocking one down defender, but it is a combination block. And what that means is that these two guys are responsible for the down lineman and the first backer inside. Okay. Even though you're on a double team, you are still gap accountable. And you have to block the guy that ends up in your gap. Okay. So what that means is that if this backer on the snap of the ball goes here into the tackle's gap, the tackle needs to come off and block him. So we haven't talked about this or worked on it, but the head placement of the tackle needs to be on the inside of this down lineman so he can see the linebacker. So there should be four hands on the down lineman, but your eyes are looking at the linebacker. So if the linebacker triggers here, the tackle knows he's coming off to block, and then the tight end goes from a drive block to a down block. He would then just turn his body square and keep pushing this guy laterally down the line of scrimmage. Now, if we do this correctly, hopefully there's a gigantic mess right here of the linebacker getting caught and the down lineman getting caught, and they're just getting washed down laterally down the line of scrimmage. Okay. But it is a combination block, which means you are working together. It's the same thing with the center and the guard. Okay. There's a zero technique. The center has his base block and the guard has his drive block. These two guys are working together for the down lineman and the FBI, the first backer inside. So if the linebacker shoots into the center's gap, the center needs to come off and block him, and then the drive block turns into a down block. So once again, four hands on the down lineman, four eyes on the linebacker. So both guys can know who comes off on the linebacker. Whoever comes off on the linebacker is determined by where the linebacker goes. The linebacker steps up here, it's the center. The linebacker flows over the top, it's the guard. As soon as the guard is done shoving the down lineman over to the center, and then he can come off. Okay. The guard has time to do that. Okay, and that's what we've been working on. That's kind of the scenario we want to have happen. Okay. That's why we work on it first. But if we don't get good enough movement on this down lineman and this guy's able to sneak through, the center needs to come off and the guard will then turn into a down block. Okay. That's one thing we haven't talked about. Okay. Now, since there's a tight end on the left side here, the guard is going to pull up for the strong safety. That's what they'll do on when there's a tight end on that side. If there is no tight end on power or counter, whoever is pulling is then pulling for the play side inside backer. because if you see this, this is the reason why, and you need to understand the big picture. When we have a tight end on this side, on the play side, we now have an extra double team on the play side, where now they can double to that backer. So the next guy that's open is that strong safety out there. So that's where our guard is pulling. Now, let's say if we were running counter to the right over here, we do not have a tight end over here. So the tackle has this guy by himself. So we do not have a tight end to go and block this guy. So that means that now whoever's pulling, so if we're running counter to the right, there's the kick out. The H is now the guy that has to go block that inside backer because we don't have an extra blocker that has an angle to go block this guy. So that's why there's a difference. And we have to know if the tight end's on the play side or not. The tight end's on the play side. Okay, we're going for that safety against this defensive front. Now, it might change based on the defensive front we see. This guy might be an outside backer, or he might be a strong safety, depending on the front. Okay, but there will be an extra guy out there, and we will be able to prepare for it during game weeks. Okay, but no tight end. We're pulling for that play side inside backer. Okay, hope you guys understand that. And then we have the wheel and seal on the backside. The tackle needs to replace the guard. Step down hard, replace the guard, get hip to hip with the center. If there's no threat to the B gap, then he can turn back out and go attack the C gap. Okay. Now let's watch the play. Okay. This is a decent job from our kick out here. If you can see this, guys, we really want to try to go as vertical as we can because we know that the tight end is running down or he's shuffling down hard to go get on the hip. So we want to be right here as this kick out guy. We're also way too high. We need to have our shoulder down on the hip. Okay. Hit them where they bend. We need to be down here on the hip. This is way too high by our H back. We need to be a lot lower. Okay. Watching our tight end. Okay, he's turning and running. We don't want to do that. We want to shuffle down like we worked on today. We want to shuffle down and hit the hip. Now he is low. I think he is down on the hip here. And as you can see, we're getting good movement, which is what we want. And as you can see here, we're getting such good movement that this linebacker is trying to get this gap here, but he can't because we got such good movement. And that's what we want to have happen. Okay. And we want to be able to just kind of wash everything down. This is exactly how it should look here. Okay. Watching our tackle on that side, he doesn't take his steps. He really doesn't take any steps. He should go 1, 2, and then lunge and get underneath this guy. Okay. I guess he does take some steps there, but he kind of hops back a little bit. I don't want us to hop back at all. And we need to be lower. We need to be lower on this punch here. Okay. But then after that, I do like how he throws him, and now he's trying to down block this guy. But I'd love to see you lower with the wide base. You see how you're kind of standing? Okay, watching Molitor here. Lower. You need to be lower down on the hip. I do like how you shuffle down. So Marlowe, you need to be more like Molitor here, where he's shuffling, staying square. Okay. And see, guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is very nice right here. If you watch this combination block, okay, these two guys, center and guard for the down lineman and the linebacker. So they hit like they're supposed to. They have 4 eyes on the linebacker, and they're seeing where he's going. They got 4 hands here and 4 eyes on the linebacker. Both of these guys need to be lower. They need to be down by the hip, but their eyes are in the right spot. And look what happens. The linebacker steps up here. So the center is now the guy to come off because this linebacker ends up in his gap. And now the guard then turns into a down block. Okay. Watch the backside guard. This is a skip pull. This is a great skip pull here. He heel clicks or he kariokas. It's a 1 gap wider. Okay. Since we have a tight end here, it's a little bit wider. So we might have to gallop and then run a little bit or shuffle a little bit to get over into the gap. So we karaoke and then we start shuffling until we find the hole. Okay, so we karaoke and then we need to shuffle. I do like how tight Burke is here. Okay. And then good. We're going for the safety. That's who we should be going for there. Now, if you get out here and you don't see anyone out here to block your safety, then turn and look inside. Okay. If you get out here and there's no one there, turn and look inside because there might be someone flowing over the top that you might be able to block. Okay. But this is the funnel. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what we're trying to create. Here's the kick out. Here's the wall that we're trying to create on the backside. Now, ideally, the running back should be right off of this double team. He needs to be tighter. Okay. He needs to get north and south faster. But that is the funnel that we're trying to create. Next one. Okay. This is wham. This is wham to the right. So this is just like trap, but the H is doing the guard's job. So for wham, it's our trap rule. So we got to identify the kickout guy. For trap and wham, it's 2 or wider. So that would be a 4 technique. So we'd say 4-4-4. So our tackle would take the path of least resistance to the FBI. So most likely inside. Guard, his rule is gap, double, backer. So staying on his tracks here, he would have a cage call to the backer. Center is base blocking. Now, backside guard and backside tackle, their rules are gap on double. So there's no one in this guard's gap. There's no one on him. So he's got a tag call with the tackle, and they are doubling here to the next second level defender. Okay. Just like that. Now, if there was an outside backer right here, the tackle would block him and the guard would block the 4 technique. That would be a gap call. So if the guard came up and said, hey, tag, 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 but this tackle had a guy in his gap and a guy on top of him, the tackle would say, hey, gap, 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 which means we're just going to block our gap. We haven't worked on that yet, but I'm just letting you know we're going to get to that where if someone has a guy in his gap and on top of him, he's going to make a gap call. So that means there's no double team. The double team would be off. Both guys would just block their gap and block whoever comes. Okay. That's if there was a guy head up and a guy in the tackle's gap. Right now against this look, it is a tag call. They're doubling to the next second level defender, whoever that is. Okay. And the H is the guy that should be kicking out. Okay. So here, Trent blocks the trap guy. Okay. He should be ripping up in here on this. We also have the backside guard pulling, which we don't do on wham. Okay. Now, Mosman's doing what he should be doing. I don't want to say too much about your steps. If you're making contact if that early, then you really don't need to take any steps. When you make contact, your feet are rooted. So this is not bad at all, Mosman. Your body, you have nice wide base. I just wish you were lower. I wish your head was under his shoulder pads. We're just too high. Okay. Now, if you want to watch a good double team here, watch how this drive block, how Burke shuffles down. 1, 2, 3. He hits the hip. Okay, he's punching him over into Max's gap. And then notice how he comes off on the linebacker here. He's square, and then he used the linebacker out. The linebacker's flowing over the top. He's going to U him out. And if we were running this play correctly, that's where we would run the ball, right off that double team. And there's a big hole there. That's what we should be doing. Okay. So the ball should be right there. Our running back took it way too wide. So he should be right down the middle. Okay, I think we run it. Nope, this is 50s or 50s, 90s pass protection here. So let's talk about this. Man on, man away. So this tackle has a man on and a man away. So he's going to make a fan call. So he should be fanning out to him, attacking his inside half. Guard should be attacking the inside half of this 4 technique. Center has the nose by himself. Okay, there should be no fan call here because that guy's off. if the tackle thought he was coming, he could make a fan call just in case. Um, and then if he ends up dropping into coverage, then he can come back and help. Um, but for me, I guess I wouldn't consider that on. So I would not have made a fan call. So that means the guard would just step in and look for work here. His head would be on a swivel, looking back and forth, looking for anyone slanting his direction where he can help out. And then Trent would step in and attack the inside half of this guy, okay? And then the A back is stepping up looking for work in the inside gaps, okay? So Mosman, you should be out here, shuffling out here. Molitor shuffles out. Okay, so Mosman, we missed the linebacker. Thankfully, the A back was paying attention, which is good. Okay. Jack, this is good. This is exactly what you would do. You'd be looking for it to help out. Good. Now, Trent, this is a good job influencing him out to the outside here. But now we just get to keep running our feet. Keep running your feet. Okay. All right. I think this is counter. Yep, this would be counter. Um, so we're doing counter with no tight end on the line of scrimmage. This is a receiver. We might have some condensed formations, but that's not a true tight end. So it's a 4-4-4, or sorry, for counter, this would be a 7-7-7. So we should be going out and kicking this guy out. Um, we should be basing here. Yeah, this is counter, I believe. Yep. Yep. So the biggest thing is that Chase, we can't get blown back here. We need to get some movement, and then Molitor, we need to get around this, and we should be going out and kicking this guy out. That's the guy we should be going to. And Cooper talks to the receiver here. So Cooper talks to this receiver. This receiver should be leaving him alone. Okay. So the receiver is wrong here as well. So Molitor, you should be getting outside this and going and blocking that 7 technique. That's the call. So we should have just a base block here, one-on-one. This should be a cage block to the FBI. Guard kicks out the 7. Sorry. Guard kicks out the 7 technique right there. Wheel and seal. Backside H, skip pulling, nice and square, leading up for the play side inside backer. And why is he going to the play side inside backer? Because there's no tight end on the play side. Okay. We don't have an extra guy. So he's going for the play side inside backer. Okay. So let's watch. I'm going to watch Gabe here. Gabe, you need to shuffle down. You're kind of taking some false steps here. It should go 1, 2, 3 for your steps. You're too high. You're up on the shoulder. You're not down on the hip. You need to be more so down on the hip and really shove that guy over into Max's gap. You do get off. Your linebacker flows over the top and you end up hitting the play side backer. This isn't the end of the world. Okay, as long as Barrett figures that out. But you do end up blocking Barrett's guy. You should be blocking the yellow bag. Okay, but this is a big reason why we can't give up penetration, is that if we give up penetration on the front side, our puller cannot get to the kick out. Our pullers can't get to where they need to be. All right. But notice, since we're not going to a tight end, since there's no tight end, this play is tighter. This is one gap tighter than if we were running it with a tight end. So no tight end, it's really like a B gap play. It's inside. It might actually go inside the tackle sometimes, but if we have a tight end over here, the play is then wider because it's getting outside the tight end. Next play. Okay. I think this is trap. Yep, this is trap. All right. Let's talk about this. So Mosman good. Mosman, I wish you would lower and rip. I know we haven't worked on it, but you should be ripping like we're slanting on defense, just in case if this guy's trying to squeeze you and get hands on you, you can rip by this guy to get up there to make the hole bigger. Okay, but you get to your guy, you need to break your feet down like a tackle as you get to this linebacker. You need to buzz your feet so you can make good contact on this guy. Okay. Um, I think this is Tommy right here. Um, so Tommy, you need to shuffle down more. Okay, shuffle down hard and punch that hip. And then Tommy, you go to the FBI. So you're doubling, staying on your tracks to the first backer inside. You will not go to the backer on top of you. Okay. You're not going to that backer. You're going to the FBI first backer inside. Okay. Because Mosman's going to the play side backer. You do readjust, which is nice, but I'd love to see you work through that guy to that backer. Okay. Elliot, good job getting that guy over into your gap. Nice job. Gabe, you're too flat. You need to be working up into the line of scrimmage. You're too high. You need to get your shoulder down into this guy's hip. Okay. You got to get shoulder down in the hip. Chase, you kind of jumped off sides here. It was a false start. You need to work down harder to replace the guard. You need to step down hard and replace this guard, and then you can come out and attack this guy. But the ball for trap, this is like an A gap play. That is where the running back should go, but he bounces it outside. We should be running the ball right there. Okay. Tight ends. Uh, this what Marlowe does is great. He gives a punch to make sure that guy stays outside, then he works up to the safety. Okay. If the handoff was better, okay, and he's going where he's supposed to be going, there's no way that that guy's going to make the tackle. Okay. This play just has to hit a little bit quicker. We need to get downhill right now. And there's no way that that guy's going to make the play. Okay? Especially if you just give a little punch. So it's a 1 second punch and then you can work up for that safety. One punch and then go. Okay, next play here. Oh, we're just walking through here. This is good. Okay. See, once he's more vertical, it's a lot better. Okay, this is the last play here. It's a pass play. Okay, we'll talk about this here. This should be a fan call again, I believe, because that guy looks like he's on. So I would have made a fan call here. When in doubt, guys, make the fan call because a tackle can always come back. You can always come back if that guy drops and help out with the guard. Okay. So when in doubt, make a fan call if you don't know if that guy's on or off. But here, both of them end up not coming, which is good. So both guards can just have their heads on a swivel and look to help. Now, the one thing we can't do is this. We cannot give up the inside. So that's where we need to step in and attack the inside half of the man. Because notice if we leave the inside, he has a free shot at the quarterback. Okay. We need to force everything to the outside. So Mosman, this is not too bad. We could be even inside a little bit more, get that outside knee to the crotch. Okay, and then we should be good. So that's everything there, guys. So I think we're progressing really, really well, and we'll get better tomorrow.